When Cincinnati was founded, the first settlers arrived either by stagecoach or steamboat. Fortunately, times have changed and I can now drive this wonderful car. It is an 840 coupe. And my name is Eckart Preu. I'm the music director of the Cincinnati Chamber Orchestra. And as a good German, I appreciate driving a good German car.
I have been on several inclines in Germany, actually in the town that I went to boys choir, but also in Chile, and it's the coolest thing. And I heard that there used to be at least inclines also here in Cincinnati.
Yes, there were at least 5 inclines. And the amazing part is, if you can see this behind us here in our Cincinnati in Motion, it was the way to get from the Cincinnati Basin all the way to the top of the hills. And these are simply hilltops, and the people had to move out of the basin for 2 reasons. 1, they ran out of room to build their houses, and number 2, there was a lot of industry in downtown Cincinnati. A lot of smoke, a lot of dirt, a lot of animals, you name it, it was out there on those streets. So some engineers saw what was happening, and Pittsburgh still has their incline, but they saw that back in the late 1800s and said, Cincinnati really does need some inclines. And so they became very popular for more than just transportation from the workers in downtown Cincinnati, but it was also to get entertainment. And these people would, the workers or whatever, would go to the incline at the bottom, pay their little ticket, and the incline would go up while the other side of the incline was coming down. There's 2 cables and they were weighted. So, and the story goes is that my husband's aunt actually would wait at the top of this incline for her husband to come home after work. So they were well thought of, they were used, but one of the reasons they died off in Cincinnati is because everybody started to get automobiles. They didn't want to ride public transportation. This was kind of considered public transportation, even though they were privately owned. And then also in Cincinnati, our hills are considered unstable. We have landslide situations. And so whenever they would pin the rail line into the hillside, they had to maintain it constantly to make sure that everything was safe. So today we don't have any more inclines, but we do still have steps. And some people have marathon runs up and down these steps that are all through our hillsides in Cincinnati.
That's very interesting. And now we actually have a piece about an incline. It's by an Italian composer, Luigi Denza, and he composed this piece for the opening of the incline on Mount Vesuvius in Italy. And it has become one of the most famous and recognizable Neapolitan songs, and it's called Funiculi, Funicula.
Great!
let's talk about steamboats. I heard that there's a very famous steamboat in Cincinnati. Where I think it's down there. It's called the Island Queen.
There she is.
What was it used for?
Well, the Island Queen was the party boat, and there were actually two of them. And the Island Queen would come to what's called the foot of Broadway, which is right here, if we can see the riverfront here in downtown Cincinnati. And if you wanted to go to Coney Island, it wasn't really easy for the typical person who didn't have a car. But they could get a ride down to downtown Cincinnati, go to the foot of Broadway or the riverfront, and get a ticket and go on the Island Queen. That boat held thousands of people, very excited to go to Coney Island, which was the amusement park in Cincinnati for years and years. And those thousands of people actually came on the Island Queen to dance. And there was always music on that wonderful boat. The first one was burnt down in 1922. People cried, and they didn't cry in their beer, they just cried. And then another one was built, and then thousands of people. It must have carried 1 million people up to Coney Island to have fun. So imagine riding the boat up the river. It takes about an hour to get up there. And then you walked right into Coney Island. You spent the day, you ate your hot dogs, your cheeseburgers. And at the end of the day, the night comes. And you went back home to Cincinnati, downtown Cincinnati, in the moonlight. And there were many, many romances and many, many engagements that happened on the Island Queen.
What kind of music did they play on the Island Queen? Did they have a band or?
Well, on the Island Queen, they did have a band. Some of them were German and some of them were typical bands that were founded here in Cincinnati who actually became nationally known. But there was a calliope. And the calliope could be heard. It was part of the advertisement. Come to the Island Queen as they're playing the calliope, which was managed, or the way it worked was through steam that was sent through brass pipes. And you could hear that calliope farther than you could hear the band. You could hear it on top of all the hilltops, and people knew it was time to get on the boat to go to Coney Island.
And I am going to play a piece for calliope, and on a pretend calliope. I find it an interesting sound, a very intriguing sound, and it makes actually the perfect instrument for outdoors, to have it on the boat because it was so resonant and could be heard very, very far away. Yet it has a certain sweetness, a nostalgia sound to it, and I love that. So the piece I'm going to play is called Sweet Rosie O'Grady, and is one of the most famous waltzes of the time. So we are here in Tower A of the Union Terminal, and we see all these rather busy rail yards here. Who operates those?
Well, CSX train run or rule this back area. And what we're looking at is one of the top 3 intermodal systems in the United States. Intermodal means transferring cargo at a particular site. But originally this was the Tower A, where the train master stood at this desk, and he could look over here at the track board, of which there were about 7 miles for the 216 trains that came in and out of this Union Terminal a day. And he managed all the trains that came in and out, whether or not they were passenger trains or cargo trains. There's a passenger train, an Amtrak, that runs 3 days, 6 days a week, 3 in and 3 go to Chicago and 3 go to New York. I had to really think about that. And of course, it's in the middle of the night. You would get on in Cincinnati because you wanted to be in Chicago in the morning, or you want to be in New York or in West Virginia in the morning. So that's the reason. This was a very powerful place. There were several men who worked here and had to do all the switching relative to this track board of all the trains coming in and out. And Cincinnati's Union Terminal was known for their safety. Out here, this went out another probably a half mile, this area you see here, which was a concourse for the 216 trains that came in and out of Union Terminal. And today we've had to amputate it because the cargo trains that you can see right out of this window are piggybacked. And the tracks that were originally there, or the concourse that was originally there, was over the trains. And so today, because the cargo containers are one atop another, they couldn't get under the concourse. And so we had to amputate it, especially because no one was taking trains anymore. I personally wish they'd bring it back, because I know in Europe, it's the way to go.
It's definitely still is, and it's the most comfortable and relaxing way to travel, as it was over 100 years ago. Well, I don't know how comfortable it was back then, but it definitely was very popular. And I think it's the most relaxing for sure.
Yeah.
That is for sure. And so we are at the end of our journey, of our historical and musical journey into the history of Cincinnati. I want to thank the Cincinnati Museum Center and Janice Forte, our guide. You did a phenomenal job. Thank you so much.
We're glad you were here.
And I also want to thank the musicians of the Cincinnati Chamber Orchestra for playing so beautifully. And I want to thank you for listening and for watching. And we hope to see you in person very soon. But until then, we wanted to leave you with one more piece, which actually relates to railroads, because it was written during the railroad craze in Europe in 1860 something. And this is about a train that is about to leave the station. And what you would say in German was bahnfrei, which means that the track is clear. And it is a composition by Eduard Strauss, the brother of the famous waltz king Johann Strauss. And it is called Bahnfrei, or The Track is Clear. So thank you very much. Thank you.